Hi folks, how you doing? Yeah, so I've come down the plot today. It's actually the first day of the Ashes. Woohoo! So hopefully every day watching cricket. But I thought I'd do a quick documentation of my allotment because I want to show how much cultivation I've got going down there. The reason I'm doing that is because I've heard a rumour that because I've complained about the creosote down my allotment, that now, rather than deal with the actual rule breaking, one of the rules is going to be manipulated and used against me to try and get me kicked off the plot. Yes, yeah, that's how devious people are down here. So yeah, and the funny thing about it is the rules were changed about 18 months ago because of me. Because I was fed up of these really old-fashioned rules, and my other allotment site had some really good rules. So I brought those rules to the council and said, these are really good rules, we should probably use those down here. And anyway, rather than tailor them to our needs, they just copied and pasted them and stuck them in. And one of the rules was 80% cultivation rate. So your plot has to be 80% cultivated, which is fair enough. And I thought, well, that doesn't suit me going to the ground, that's fine. At least it means that, you know, plots that are abandoned, you know, will get given to people who really, really want them. Because there is a few plots over the years that have happened where people never come down, and it's taken years to get those people removed. I mean, we had real issues in the past. We had one guy bringing rubbish down and everything. It was shocking, and it took ages for the council to get rid of him. And then when they got rid of him, you think, oh, that should be the end of it. But no, because the rules hadn't been changed, it carried on and carried on. Anyway, those people, you know, that was years ago. It's fine. So when this rule come in, they left it. Oh, it's fair enough. 80% cultivation. It sounds good to me. Well, because obviously I don't grow in nice, neat little rows, and because obviously people don't know what I'm growing, because they can't see carrots, potatoes, and, you know, cabbages, the things that you'd find in a Victorian garden, there's obviously been a complaint saying that my plot is not cultivated enough, which is funny. So anyway, I've made a video today to go over it, and people can see for themselves the issues in my plot and see what you think. Obviously, I garden in a no-dig food forest kind of way. And anyway, it's on record. It's for everyone to see then, isn't it? So, like I said, it's the first day of the Ashes today, the Edgbaston test. And so, what's that, middle of June? So everyone can see what I've got in the ground. I've still got a few more things to go in, actually. I've still got pumpkins and stuff like that at home that need to go in. I've got some cucumbers that I want to put outside as well, because I've got a suspicion we're going to have a very, very hot summer, in which case I can grow cucumbers outside. So yeah, and obviously there's some things I just can't grow down there because the ground's so wet, they rot. I've had no success with sweet corn and pumpkins. Oh, pumpkins in certain places, but I've had no success with sweet corn down there, because if we do get a summer storm and the rain just sits on the clay there, and because there's no drainage, they just rot away and they have a really bad harvest. That's why I've got another small plot obviously somewhere else, because that's where I can grow my sweet corn, my kale and everything else, and I can grow it in the ground basically, because obviously, as you know, when you grow things in raised beds, you need to water more and more trips down the plot and this, that and the other. And you know, I can't be going down the plot every couple of days just to water, you know, sweet corn and kale and stuff like that. That would make it the most expensive sweet corn and kale in the world. One of these for a while, so I thought I'd do a bit of a plot tour and show you what I've got in the ground, so we can go around my plot step by step. Whoa, there was a bee. I'm almost all cultivated up now. I think I've got everything in all my places. I've got a couple of spots where I've got to put some pumpkins in and some squashes. I've got some more cucumbers to go in one of the greenhouses, but I think I'm almost there. So here's mine and my other half's plot. So on this side here we have the wildflower and the pond area. So that's our hedgehog house. This has been here for a few years now. I pile up all the sticks and bits of old wood and stuff and made a bit of an animal sanctuary. And as you can see, it gets used because there's a little track going through there. So fingers crossed, Mr. Hedgehog is making that a home. Yeah, we've got all the wildflowers here. I cut some of them for the house. I give some to my nan. What we got here, we got yarrow, mountain cornflower. We got buttercups. I love a bit of buttercup. Dog daisies. In the spring, obviously, we had daffodils, tulips, and all sorts there. All this on the left-hand side, can you see? Well, that's I think it's a Golden Delicious, that one. I always get the three mixed up. Golden Delicious apple tree. And these are all my yellow raspberries. I love raspberries. And hopefully this year I'm going to get a really good harvest. They've been 2 years in waiting and they're starting to come already. I'm going to get this covered in the next couple of weeks because I don't mind the birds having a bit. I really don't. So the birds can have the first few ones. They can have a good feast because it's hot and, you know, they probably need the raspberry juice. But yeah, and then I'm going to cover it up. There's my other apple tree there. cut these low over the autumn so they don't get too high. It's really good actually, because obviously the trees and the raspberries, they provide shade for everything else. So in this really hot weather we're getting, you know, when we haven't had rain, proper rain now for God weeks. I'm just eating that raspberry. We had a bit of a thunderstorm, but that was it really. So yeah, all the higher trees provide shade for the lower down plants. This area needs a weed simply because a couple of thistles gone nuts. But yeah, my rhubarb's down there, look, nice and shady and sheltered so it doesn't get too heat stressed. And this plant here, they're my Jerusalem artichokes. So that entire half of my plot is cultivated. And this was my fruit cage. This was my apple tree, this wasn't my fruit cage, sorry. This was my fruit area. Apple tree, gooseberry bushes, black currants, as you can see down there. But unfortunately, this is going to have to now be moved for where the chickens need to go, because if you remember a couple of years ago, this corner of the allotment over there, that flooded really bad, and that's where my chickens were, out the way, because it's not very good ground over there. So the chickens were over there. This is better ground, but unfortunately my chickens aren't ducks, and as the council haven't sorted the drainage out yet, I can't really do anything with that corner of the allotment. I mean, the chickens can't go there because they'll drown, and it's so wet in that corner that plants in the ground just die. So I had to move the chickens from there over here, and because obviously, really and truthfully, that's a little bit too small. It needs to be well, for me it is. Legally, that is perfectly fine, but I think chickens should have more space, and they should have more space. So here's my green manure, or my fertilizer. This all gets chopped down, it all gets put into the raised beds, and then obviously that's the compost for next year and the year after. Then my nettle patch. Gotta love a nettle patch. It's great for the ladybirds. It's great for loads of wildlife. Also, nettle beer is fantastic, and because I have nettles here, I know that none of those have been sprayed with weed killer, so I know they're good to eat, and they're all good and they're all safe, because although you can pick nettles from the hedgerows and stuff, you never know what's been sprayed on them. So they're my nettles, and they're all nice, organic and clean. Love it. So yeah, so all of this plot here, I'd say that was pretty well cultivated, to be fair. Now we go over here. This obviously is the bit where it was really wet. Now I want to show you something. I don't know if you'll be able to judge from here, because I've been taking up my old rotten raised beds, you see. They become a bit dangerous, getting splinters and cuts on them. So these have had to come out. And obviously I'm going to reuse the wood, and we'll, you know, reuse what we can. And then I'll probably take to the recycle centre the rest. They mulch it up or something. Anyway, but I want to show you the difference, right? So this plot, this path was put in by the previous occupant. Great idea. They started to do some drainage. They were a builder or something, and so I'm pretty lucky in some respects, because I've got a little bit of drainage, but not as much as needed. But anyway, so this is the original height of the plot. Now over the last 8 years, I've had to raise the other half of the plot up. Look, that is probably now, can you see with the slabs? So the right hand side of my plot is now probably 8 inches higher than the left hand side. Now I've had to do that because of the drainage situation. There's no way any of those raspberries or anything else would have lived if I had not have raised them up, because in the winter even this path floods. Hence I've got everything in raised beds, because if I want to keep plants alive, I've got to keep them out of the water during the autumn and the winter. So on this side, strawberries, horseradish, that's my blueberry bush with the wildflowers growing through it. Because, oh, hello bee. Look at them for blueberries. Look at them. I've got some more rhubarb down there that have got to go in. I saved them. And again, these are, you see these there? These are thornless blackberries that need to go in. And again, there's all wildflowers and weeds and stuff in there, but they're just going to get weeded out, and they'll be compost for next year. So there are my strawberries coming through. My garlic as well. I do like a bit of green garlic. It makes really good garlic mayo. And these are my onions. Look at them beauties. I need to pull some of them up, take home with me today, because the cricket is on and I'm going to have some sandwiches. So yeah, so this area here, because it was so wet, I planted it with mint. I quite like mint. We use quite a lot of it. It's good for keeping, what's the word? Insects out of the house and stuff, flies and things, because they don't like it. Obviously I've got another nettle patch there. That'll probably go eventually. But yeah, that whole chunk there floods so bad. So it's kind of unusable at the moment. It's become a bit of a dumping ground for all the stuff I need to sort out. Oh yeah, so obviously, and then in the greenhouse here, we have the start of some cucumbers and my grapevines. This is a white grapevine, and I'm trying a technique of kind of stressing it out a bit because apparently it makes the grapes nicer. Don't know if that's going to work. So it's in a pot and it gets watered once a week. And eventually what I'm going to do is I'm going to saw the bottom off that pot and I'm going to raise it up so the roots can go down into the ground. But this greenhouse floods. This greenhouse floods as high as there. So that grapevine has got to be raised up. It can have the water to go down to, but it needs a dry spot so it's not going to rot in the ground. And here's my cucumbers. Look at them. They're coming through already. Let's get some of them bad boys. And, oh, dropped it. No. Oh. Ugh. That's the first cucumbers of the year. Let's hope they're tasty. Then obviously we've got the poppy bed, which is great for pollinate. Whoa, yes, I know. It's all yours, bees, it's all yours. It's great for pollinators. Look at them, they love it. That raised bed was where my yacon was last year. Now the problem with the yacon was I couldn't keep enough water going into it. So this year, because I've moved the wooden raised beds, I'm putting my yacon on here. Now my yacon will grow massive. You've seen them before, so it will take up this entire area. So this section here is going to be yacon. I've put a tomato in to see how it copes. So just going to pack a vegetable. Oh, my thumb's in the way. Sorry, folks. I'm just going to pack vegetables in. We've got the start of a pumpkin courgette bed here. I've got 2 courgettes in there. We're going to have a couple of pumpkins here, and then they can trail all the way that way. And then inside my greenhouse, we've got the start of grapes. We've got, ooh, sorry bees, look at them. They absolutely love these flowers. Absolutely love it. Okay, yes, I know. Too close again. I'm sorry, bees. I'm sorry. And these are my tomatoes and cucamelon. Got some cucamelon down there. I just let them go in and go nuts. The bees are coming in here, look. I know. Tomatoes are in. I've got another yacon there that when it gets a bit bigger is going to go out. And a self-seeding pumpkin or something. I have no idea what that is, but I'll let it grow. Look at all these grapes. Fingers crossed it's going to be a good year for grapes. Fingers crossed. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to leave that door open actually because it's quite warm. Actually, I'll put it ajar a bit just in case. So yeah, so there we have it. Okay, bees, I'm going away. So there we have it. Out of all my plot, bar from this corner here with a drainage issue, I'd say most of it, other than walkways, and don't forget I'm a disabled person, so I need pretty wide walkways to wander around. I can't have them too small. I think most of it is pretty much cultivated, to be honest. It's got the wildflowers in that I like to grow. It's got the cut flowers in I like to grow. It's got my onions, my strawberries, rhubarbs, fruit bushes. We've got a couple of grapevines, tomatoes, cucumbers, Jerusalem artichokes. Oh, and even my pussy willow here. I use this compost. Every year I cut it down. Every year all the twigs and everything else gets thrown into here. It's free compost. It's free hugelkultur compost. Oh, there's another blackcurrant there as well. My idea of gardening is basically to pack everything in, because the more the pack in, the less weeds you get, and you can just grow things within things. It's like the amount of times that I'll grow kale unprotected in amongst some fruit bushes and the pigeons just don't find it. It's what the Americans call a food forest, and it helps with water retention and everything else, because like I said, you've got different layers. You've got the trees, you've got the bushes, you've got the shrubs, you've got the ground cover, and the whole idea is that you're going to use less water, less fertilizer. It's easier, you're going to get less weeds, and it's better for nature. And I don't know why more people don't do it. But what you certainly can't say is that my plot is uncultivated. to be fair, I'd probably be 100% cultivated if I could just sort out that corner over there with the drainage. It's just a shame it's been about 8 years now and the council hasn't done anything about it. There you go, look at the wildflowers down there as well. I'm going to have to stream that at some point, but my neighbour here put some foxgloves and stuff in and they look absolutely amazing. I love it, absolutely love it. Got the self-setting oak tree there that a squirrel planted years ago. It's not doing any harm. The robin likes to sit on this and sing his little song in the mornings. I've seen him do it. So there we have it, folks. Oh, there's my asparagus, look. I think it's pretty much the end of the asparagus season now. It's got a bit too warm, hasn't it? So I'm going to leave them to rest. I've had quite a few feeds off that, but none of it's gone home. It's all been scoffed. Down here raw, it's been really tasty, really tasty. So there we have it, folks. There is literally a whistle-stop tour of my plot. What I will do in the next coming days, I'll do a whistle-stop tour of the other plot. Oh, look at them. Look at these. These are onions that have gone to seed on another plot. I love them. They will pop open eventually like a firework and the bees will be all over it. If you have any onions that go to seed and you like flowers, let them. Honestly, they're beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Yes, folks. Whoa, lost my hat. Yes, folks, so there we have it. There's a rapid tour of my plot. I hope you've enjoyed it and see what I've got going on. The chickens are all happy and healthy. They've just been fed and now they're tucked away in the shade. I put some netting up for them, as you can see. So they're getting lovely mottled shade all day. But yeah, it's coming along, it is coming along. And fingers crossed I should have quite a bit of food this year. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I was hoping for a few more strawberries, but we've got a few coming. I might have to buy some strawberries, which is a bit of a shame. But we'll get there, because my plan eventually, if I flip this camera around, eventually is to have both these raised beds full of strawberries. All of that full of raspberries and fruit, and then this will be my staging area for salad crops and everything else in the raised beds. But and what I might do is use this old wood when I've sawn the rough edges off to clad that box, and that can be another raised bed there. Because obviously I find raised beds so much easier because I can perch on the end like this and do weeding and stuff. Yeah, so there it is. A whistle-stop tour to show you what I've got on my plot. And just to show you how you don't have to have everything in nice neat little rows like a Victorian gardener. I mean, there's plenty of people now who are gardening the way I garden. There's just have to go on YouTube, look at no dig, look at permaculture, look at biodiversity topics. You know, you'll see people like Charles Downding. Monty Don is now even embracing no dig a bit. I've seen on some of his Gardener's Worlds videos, he's now embracing the permaculture way of life. So yeah, it's becoming, actually it's been a mainstream movement for a few decades now. It's been around for 100 years. But it's funny how you get so much animosity growing this way. It's almost like people are more worried about your green allotment than they are about chemicals being painted and sprayed everywhere. It's bizarre, really. It's strange. But anyway, I love my plot, and I've got a lot growing. So until next time, folks, take care. Speak soon. find really troubling is though that rather than deal with the actual issues of like the rule breaking, is the fact that it's just been flipped to come after me. It's a complete case of whataboutery, isn't it? It's just, it's absolutely bizarre, but it's just something that I'm gonna have to deal with. By the way, I don't think all allotment sites like this. I just think it's probably this one. There's probably a few, and I'm sure people in the past have had issues with their committees and stuff, but we haven't got a committee down here. This is supposed to be council run. It's supposed to be nice and friendly, but obviously when the people who work for the council don't seem to be on your side. That's not the councillors, by the way. The councillors, the Labour councillors who are new here, have been really, really good. They've been superb so far. To be fair, I give them a due. The Conservative councillors as well, they were good as well. They tried very hard to get the allotment situation sorted, and then it just so happened that obviously the elections happened and it never got done. But you know, it's one of those things, isn't it, with local government changes, and you got to go back to the drawing board. But hey ho, onwards and upwards and all that. So anyway, yeah, so I've done a quick video, gone around the cultivation, but I also think it's quite funny because there's quite a few plots down there that that for whatever reason people haven't been down yet this year. So there's some plots that are, you know, like yay high with long grass and stuff like that, but obviously the people who work for the council don't have a problem with that, but they've got a problem with me because obviously my raspberries are really offensive because they're too tall, but the long grass and the weeds on all the plots aren't. A bit strange, but we know why that is, isn't it? Because this is what happens when you hold people to account to do their jobs. When you hold people to account to do their jobs, and when you can prove that they haven't done their job properly, rather than like a normal person will hold my hands up and go, do you know what, yeah, I could probably have done this job better and we need to sort this out, and yes, there's been issues, and I hold my hands up, it's done. No, these bits, it's like double down. It's like, so what we're going to do, we're going to come after you. Right, you're the whistleblower, you're the guy who wants to make changes to improve it, so it'll be easy just to get rid of you, right, and carry on breaking the rules than it would be just to get the other people to follow the rules. So anyway, so here's a video that hopefully shows you all the cultivation on my Donington allotment. Take care folks, hope you enjoy it.